I started the previous FBT in 5 asking, where is Alex Kirilloff? Well, he was recalled this weekend along with a bunch of other prospects. Let's discuss next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5. As always, make sure to follow and stream us on Spotify. Today is Monday, June 20th. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Scott White. And before we even get to Kirilloff, let's take a look at some shortstop prospects who got called up. Oneil Cruz will get the call on Monday. He's 64% rostered. And the other name, CJ Abrams, apparently being recalled by the San Diego Padres. Scott, what do you think of these two? And who would you rather have?
Well, I think the Oneil Cruz call-up is probably the most significant one of the weekend for fantasy purposes. Of course, he got a lot of hype in spring training. He was widely drafted. I think most of us assumed he'd be up very early in the year, but he got off to such a miserable start at AAA that just wasn't possible. He's been hitting much better over the last month or so. In 26 games, 299 batting average, 7 home runs, and 953 OPS for Cruz, and the strikeout rate has been down during that time. And his talent level is off the charts. I mean, he impacts the ball harder than any minor leaguer, basically. Like it's near Aaron Judge levels of exit velocity when Oneil Cruz makes contact. Now, will his mechanics be consistent enough? Will his strike zone judgment be consistent enough to get the most out of it? Obviously, that's the big question. But I think for the upside, you have to take a shot on Oneil Cruz in all leagues. And he's capable of stealing bases as well. As for CJ Abrams, it's not clear that he'll be an everyday player. He had been performing well at AAA lately as well. But of course, when we saw him in the majors earlier this year, he got 55 at-bats and looked completely overmatched. He has a ton of speed, and if he is able to make good on his potential, that's obviously very valuable. But I'm less confident that he will. I'm not saying you shouldn't pick up CJ Abrams, especially in a roto league. But yeah, I mean, I think we're less confident. I'm not going to say I'm confident in Oneil Cruz, but I'm even less, hopeful for Abrams.
Fair enough. Let's move over to some outfield prospects. Riley Greene made his debut for the Tigers on Saturday. He went 2 for 3 with two walks and 2 runs scored. Alex Kirilloff was recalled, and we've talked a lot about him recently. He had 2 hits in 2 games over the weekend, 53% rostered. Scott, who would you rather have, Riley Greene or Kirilloff?
I would rather have Riley Greene. I think the upside is higher. He was, just from a pure ranking perspective, the highest ranked of all these prospects coming into the season, even higher ranked by most publications than Spencer Torkelson, who his Tigers teammate, who was the top pick in the draft 2 years ago. And remember, Riley Greene had made the opening day roster. It was reported before he broke his foot. So he had a great spring. He's come up. He's walked, I think, 4 times already, shown good plate discipline. That's very nice to see. Hit tool is supposed to be his best, but there's power there. There's a little bit of speed for Riley Greene, and hopefully he'll be able to make good on it right away. But I am very excited about Kirilloff too. I've always liked him. I always thought he had tremendous upside as a hitter. Of course, his time in the majors so far, both between this year and last year, has been marred by wrist issues. He's been playing through basically his whole time in the majors. And so we haven't seen him at his best. But he got sent down after a cortisone shot this year to work on his swing in the minors. And it took a little while for it to come around, but he has been a monster once he did get going, showing more power than he's ever shown before, actually. A 359 batting average, 10 home runs in just 35 games. Region base at a 465 clip, too, so Kirilloff is showing better plate discipline than we've seen from him. And I think now is finally his time to shine. I hope so, after all the false starts with the wrist. I'm hopeful this is where Kirilloff takes off.
I hope so too, Scott, because I've been stashing Kirilloff in a few leagues and definitely could use the help there. What about these two hitters? Where should we add them, if anywhere? They both had big games this weekend. Jack Sawinski, triple dong on Sunday. He's now up to 11 home runs. And John Birdie had a 3-steal game this weekend. He has 16 steals over his last 20 games. Scott, where are you looking to add those two, if anywhere? Sawinski and John Birdie.
Look, Sawinski, the max exit velocity is like that of a high-end power hitter. When he gets a hold of the ball, it seems like he can legitimately hit it out. I don't think that's going to happen very often. I still see him as a pretty low upside player, even if that one tool is pretty good. So, Sawinski, save him for the deeper leagues. John Birdie, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of hitting talent, but he's been so prolific as a base stealer. He's three stolen bases on Saturday. That gives him 16 just since May 27th. Marlins have great matchups coming up this week, so hopefully he'll be able to keep it going at least for one more week, and you can make up some ground in stolen bases.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, your smart speakers, or anywhere else podcasts are found. And thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.